Brian.
Hey, Brian.
There we go. I can hear you. I got you.
All right, all right.
Operator.
We got our first celebrity guest.
Not a celebrity.
Brian Lovell. So I think we all know Brian, but briefly, he is the national sales manager for Van Dyke. As far as sales goes, he's the top dog. So I've known Brian for about I don't know, 9 or 10 years. I feel like we've been friends maybe the last 5 years. The company used to keep Florida like as a separate entity in the beginning before we're all one big family. So that's when I kind of got to know Brian better. So my respect for corporate and executives falls along a very dichotomy. I bifurcate them. They've once originated alone. They've never originated alone. So Brian falls under the used to originate loans. So I automatically have a lot of respect for him. Plus, he's a pretty nice guy. So so we're going to pelt Brian with some tough questions. I'm going to ask him 2 questions, and then I'm going to let him share his wisdom. Now, I sent you, Brian, I know it was like late last night. I sent you some production numbers and our little prospecting sheets, just if you wanted to take a glance. But, okay, so I always forget when somebody's in the waiting room. So Joyce is wanting to get in here. Okay. Hey, Joyce, sorry, I know you were in the waiting room. So, okay. So first question, Brian. So new loan officers face a dilemma. They are supported by their friends and family, but at the same time, their friends and family know that they're brand new. So if they had a cupcake store, they'd all come by and buy cupcakes. But if they're talking about doing a $400,000 financial transaction, they may not necessarily want to do business with somebody who's only been in the business a couple of months. How can they overcome that?
So I think the first thing I would tell you is if you have gotten paid even a single dollar to be a mortgage loan originator, you are qualified as a professional. Okay. That's the first thing. So get that mind. That's a mindset shift, right? You are paid to do this job. You are classified as a professional mortgage loan originator. I think the other thing I would lean on, especially in your case, for those of you who are working with Steven and Adam, I know, you're working with Brent. Listen, you guys have a fabulous support system, right? Whether it's your branch manager, whether it's your operations team, your secondary team. Listen, I started off in this business in 2007 as a rookie. I want you guys to think back a little bit about that period of time in our world. Right, I'm not the smartest guy on
that. Was like right before the whole crash.
Yes, it was during the whole crash. Right,
during the crash.
So,
okay.
Yeah, so like I cut my teeth in the worst possible market that was out there that we've ever seen. If I would have had the level of support that you get here at Van Dyke Mortgage and in your individual branches, it wouldn't have taken me nearly as long to get going as it did. So, if you've got critics out there who are saying, and by the way, this is whether they're friends or family or whether they're real estate agents or referral partners that you're working with, I think the thing to remember is, hey, first of all, you're important to me. Like we have a relationship, in a lot of cases, you're family. I would never, ever, ever, never, ever steer you wrong. And 2, to make sure that that happens, I've got an army of people who are at the ready to help me out, right? And I'm saying, don't be afraid to tap on this guy's shoulder or whoever else that you're using as a resource. Adam, by the way, congratulations on a phenomenal year, bro. I was looking at some numbers for you just the other day. So I know that you've got a good support system as well. But I think that's where that's at. You've got to remind people, hey, I'm more than just Daphne Mortgage Loan Originator. I'm Daphne, who works with an army of people who have been doing this forever. Steven, in almost 30 years, brother, you've been in the business. Like
Yes, I
this
was
guy's
very, very young.
this guy's forgotten more about mortgages than any of us will ever know, right? And after 30 years, you've seen every type of market that there is. I don't know that there's any curveballs left to throw at Stephen Katz, right? And so I would just leverage those resources that you have. Listen, in terms of like working with your referral partners, I'm 100% sure Stephen would go on a sales call with you. You want to sit down with a group of real estate agents. You want to go to a real estate office. I'm 100% sure Stephen would go with you.
Absolutely.
And he's going to be able to bring that credibility and that knowledge that's going to let people know, hey, these people aren't playing games. They really, truly, truly know what they're doing. I think the other thing is, I think about resources. Obviously, Stephen is a great resource. Brent is a great resource. You've also got other great resources in the company too, right? So make sure you're plugged into things like the Iron Sharpens Iron call. Make sure you're listening to things like Barry Habib's daily update if you guys are signed up with MBS Highway. The guy seriously is a wizard, has a crystal ball. But even if he's not right 100% of the time, the knowledge that you're going to get from him is going to be invaluable. Stephen, I've had a lot of loan officers and branch managers reach out to me over the last couple of weeks that are a little nervous about 2020, right? And since
You mean
last
2022?
Thursday, 2022, I'm sorry. And
Yeah.
since last Wednesday, we've seen almost an increase in rates of 0.5 point. That is a pretty significant increase in a very short period of time. Here's the reality. Real estate agents are going to sell homes whether rates are 2% or 12%. That's first, right? But two, if you're educating yourself on why these things are happening in the market, it's the difference between being a professional and an amateur, right? So if your referral partners or if your borrowers are asking you questions about what's going on, you want to be in a position to be able to give them some professional advice of what's going on.
Excuse
Go ahead,
me.
Stephen.
So, Brian, I think if I'm capturing what you're saying correctly, that the answer to the double-edged sword dilemma of being new, that a lot of it has to do with self-confidence.
Mhm.
And that a new loan officer can build self-confidence by more product knowledge and more market knowledge.
Yep.
Okay, so the second half would be, what do you think about the idea is, as they're selling themselves, they sell the team and they say, I've worked for a team that's been closing loans in Atlanta for 30 years. I've got a 15-year processor. We're going to make sure that everything runs smoothly. You're not going to be dealing with somebody who's faceless over the phone. I mean, every time you call Bank of America to ask them a question about your loan, it's, what is your name? What is your social security number? Can you verify your address? And then they transfer you to somebody else you don't know, and they ask you those questions over and over. And it's so frustrating. And with us, you call Jessica and then she tells you what's going on, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. So listen, there is a lot to be said about knowing where to go to get the answers. And I think you guys would agree with me, Stephen, you'll agree with me with this, whether you're a rookie or whether you've been in this business for 30 years, the biggest thing that you want is to be able to go out on the street and know that you're writing checks that your team can cash, right? Stephen, if
Right.
as a
Don't make
30-year
promises
vet,
we can't do.
yes,
Yeah, right.
Stephen, as a 30-year vet, you want to know when you're out on the street that if you tell somebody we're going to make something happen, we're going to make something happen. That never goes away, rookie or not. And so to your point, yeah, you absolutely have the team that's going to back up all of that.
Okay, so here's my second question. So you have viewed from above probably, I don't know, 100 rookie loan officers in the past few years. And some of them have made it and some of them haven't. Some of them have really prospered and some of them are just getting by. What's the difference? Are there any generalizations you can make about the group that didn't make it and the group that's making it?
Sure. In my opinion, it all comes down to hustle. And so what I mean by that is, and I say this all the time, if you measure your wins and losses by the activities that you're doing, and that's why, Stephen, I love that little like activity tracker thing that you're working on. If you measure your wins and losses by the activities that you do weekly, you will never worry about where your next loan is coming from, right? Here's
Explain
the
that,
challenge.
please.
Yeah, so the challenge in our business is that, listen, we all got on this business because we wanted to make a lot of money and we wanted to have the freedom, right? But the reality is, for some people, that freedom is a catch-22, meaning, hey, maybe I'm only putting 25 hours a weekend. Maybe I'm only putting 30 hours a weekend. Maybe you're putting in 50 hours. I don't know. But at the end of the week, I have this sometimes at the end of the day. Like the end of the day comes by, I've worked 8, 10 hours, maybe 12. And I'm thinking to myself, man, I had a really productive day. I got a lot done. I was busy all day long. Well, there's a difference between being busy on revenue generating activities and being busy on things that aren't. Okay. So like, to me, a non-revenue generating activity, taking a 1003 does not make you money. It is a product of having to get a loan in, right? The things that make you money are, what are the things I'm doing to build new relationships or meet new people, right? Or what am I doing from a marketing standpoint with my business, right? So, when you look at it, you look at your tasks that you're doing on a regular basis, which of them will create revenue and which of them won't. So I'll just tell you a personal story for me. By the way, I share with you, I got in business in April 2007. In August of 2007, the company I was with went bankrupt. And so now here I am, a rookie. I think I closed 2 loans, and I end up over at SunTrust Mortgage. With those of you who are in Atlanta are familiar with SunTrust. I'm in SunTrust Mortgage. The branch manager I was working for at Home Bank had gone over there with about 10 of us. And within a couple of months, like, he was gone too. So now I don't know anybody. I have no idea what I'm doing. I am legit pre-approving people and telling them no, when in actuality, a loan officer who's much smarter than me is saying yes. And so, by the way, do you think that those agents gave me a second shot? No, right? So if you got an iffy deal, you need to run it by somebody to make sure you got a deal, right? Make your yes a yes and your no a no as fast as you can. Anyways, so eventually I get teamed up with a guy named Mark Fitzpatrick at SunTrust, and I basically go to work for him as a junior LO. And Mark was a guy, this is way before all y'all's times, but Stephen, you'll remember, he did stated option arms was his primary business, okay? When the market shifted and stated option arms are gone, this guy can't even spell FHA. But I had just gone through a 9-week training course on different loan products, how to read credit, how to read appraisals, like the whole 9 yards, right? So he actually needs me because I know how to do a full doc loan, and he's got no clue. The best thing Mark did for me was he was that resource for me, and he had loans for me to do. So I was actively doing loans, and when you're actively doing loans, you're learning a ton. Mm-hmm. Fast forward, Mark said to me one day, he said, listen, Brian, you're going to eventually figure this thing out. By the way, he wasn't paying me very much, but at the time, beggars couldn't be choosers. And he said, eventually you're going to figure this thing out, and you're going to realize you can make more money without me than you can with me. Well, that day came, and a guy who works at our company right now, his name's Brian Forrester. He was my mentor when I was a rookie. I kept in touch with him. He said, hey, there's a better way. I think you should have a conversation. That person I had a conversation with was Lovell, who today is the Senior VP of Sales here at Van Dyke. I went to go work for her, and now I'm on my own. I thought I knew everything I needed to know. The good news was, I could totally dictate my success or not. Well, a lot of things were going on in the market, ups and downs. Thing is imploding. Listen, my life's not exactly going great either because I'm broke. And when that happens, it's very hard to get out of bed in the morning and go get your hustle on, right? For whatever reason, one day I just had an epiphany. Like, listen, I can't control the market, but I can control the things that I do in the market. And that day I made a decision that every single day for at least 1 hour, I would do something that generated revenue. And I just went ahead and put it on my calendar. On Tuesdays, I went and did broker opens. They were from 11 to 1 o'clock every Tuesday. In 2.5 years, I missed 3 times. That's how important it was, right? I went every single Saturday and every single Sunday to open houses. Eventually, I got to the point where I only had to go Saturday or Sunday. And then eventually I got to the point where I only went like once a month. But I never stopped adding people to my database, right? On Thursdays, I worked my drip campaigns, right? Back then, we didn't have fancy drip campaigns like Top of Mind. I had this junk on a spreadsheet, right? Every borrower I'd ever talked to. And every Thursday, I called every single borrower I'd ever talked to. Good, bad, or indifferent. Hey, if you had 510 credit, are you still BTR? That's born to rent, by the way. Or have you done something to improve it? If they were out shopping, I had conversations about where you at on the home shopping process. What questions do you have? But every single Thursday, I worked that drip campaign. On Fridays, I made Friday calls, and they went like this. Hey, Needy, it's Brian Lovell over at Van Dyke Mortgage. I hope you've had an awesome week. The reason for my call is I want to let you know that I'm working this weekend. So in the event that you have a general question about home loan financing, or you have a buyer you need me to take a look at, I work when you work. Don't hesitate to give me a call. All right. Now you can tell I've said that script 1,000 times, right? So here was my thing. I made 20 of those calls every Friday, and I prayed to God people wouldn't answer the phone. Do you know why? Because if they answered, it took me longer to get through 20, right? If they didn't answer, I might be able to get through 30 in that time frame. But I made those calls every single Friday. So you'll see, like, my weeks were bifabricated out, as Stephen would use that term. Every single day was something. On Tuesdays, I went to a BNI networking group, right? So every single day, I had something on my calendar that was revenue generating. As long as I was checking those boxes, and at the end of the week, I could measure my wins and losses by, hey, how many people did you meet at open houses and broker opens? How many people did you call that were in your pipeline? How many referrals did you get or give at BNI? All of those things are measurable, right? They're either a you did or you didn't. But at
So
the
Brian,
end of the week,
yep. So I'm sorry to interrupt. So what you're saying is where, you know, us people that are experienced, we measure by the loans we're closing. But what you're saying when you're new is back that up. So
yep.
You don't have so many loans closing. So now your scorecard is how many agents did I talk to and how many meetings, yep. And even back that up, you know, how many people did I even make contact with, you know, and so that you can have a legitimate, you're in the game. You can have a legitimate scorecard. It's not just, oh yeah, the score is 0-0 again this month, you know.
So here's the reality in our business, Stephen. One of the things that we don't do well is we tend to measure our wins and losses once a month. Mm-hmm. It's the last day of the month, right? Which means we only measure our wins and losses 12 times a year, right? But if you're tracking your activities and you're measuring your wins and losses weekly, how many times a year do you measure your wins and losses?
Okay, so we're doing that scorecard and we're going to talk about that later, but I want to be respectful of Brian's time. So let's pelt him real quick with some good questions. Daphne, what kind of hurdles are you facing?
Right now, so like I've made a goal to like call 5 real estate agents. I pull them through the intelligence program every single day, and some answer, some don't answer, but I haven't been able to score a meeting with anybody. A handful of them are like, sure, send me your contact information, but I think they're just being nice. And then one person said, sure, let's have a meeting next week. Hasn't responded to me. So that is one of my major challenges right now.
Okay. So I'm going to give you 2 things to focus on. The first one is you're going to have a better success getting those meetings with people that you've met, right? And so if you can get out in the field somewhere and meet them at open houses, or by the way, the clarity on open house versus broker open is agents holding homes open for other agents to preview. Probably don't do that a whole lot in this market, but they still are holding open houses. So it's easier to make a connection with somebody who's actually met you versus a cold call. Okay. On the cold call side of it, I would use that intelligence to target, I don't know, let's call it 25 agents. And by the way, make sure you're targeting agents that have some volume. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I would, and Stephen, if you need help with this, let me know, but I would create a marketing plan to specifically target those 25 people and continually try to be in front of them. So those 25 people, you know, you're doing things like you're making an initial phone call, just introducing yourself. Maybe a couple of days later, you send them an article that you found somewhere that you think it would be of value to them. Hey, I saw this, made me think of you. I hope you find some value in it. You know, I would definitely add them to my Friday call list. I would send them, like, one of the things I used to do is I had put together a commitment like contract. In other words, I had put, like, I always say that you need to be able to tell an agent why Van Dyke Mortgage, but why also Daphne. So for your why Daphne, you need to list why you. Like for me, you heard me say one of them, it was I work when you work. So I had like this certificate that I signed that had a list of my guarantees. I guarantee I'm going to do pre-approvals within X amount of time. I guarantee I'm going to return phone calls in X amount of time. I guarantee I'm going to work when you work, those sorts of things. And I would send them something like that. Then I might just send them a Van Dyke Mortgage t-shirt. Hey, I want to welcome you to our team. Here's a jersey to get you going. You know, something, but I would find reasons to just make touches. And if you need help building out what something like that looks like, we certainly can do that. But in that case, you're targeting some people specifically that you want to be in business with. And I think if you picked out 25 of them and you were consistent every week about making some sort of contact, I think you're eventually going to hear something from them.
And Daphne, I want to role play with you later, and we can go over, and maybe your, you know, telephone pitch could be improved a little bit. So Lauren, tell me the mountain that you're having trouble climbing.
Well, so it's kind of the same thing, getting people to actually meet in person. You know, I know that you say like a Zoom, you know, you can do a Zoom, but being in person with somebody is 100 times better. But so how do you find the balance between being persistent with, you know, your 25 people and realizing that, like, okay, maybe this group is not the group. Maybe I need to go find a new 25.
Yeah. So what I used to do was I would have that group of 20 or 25. And by the way, that group gets smaller as your business gets larger. And the reason for that is as your business gets larger, your commitment to be able to continually market to that group of 25 gets smaller, right? So now maybe my target group is only 10. But I can't remember, what was your question? What was your question again?
Like, how do you find the balance between being persistent with these people and then, you know, cutting them and moving on or finding somebody else?
Good. So after you put together that campaign of, hey, these are my 25 that I'm going to target, and here's what that target looks like. Eventually, if you haven't made traction, you move them off. You just put them in your database. You continue to send them your weekly marketing piece or whatever, and then you go pick a new 25 and you start over. I would say that that's somewhere around 10 to 12 weeks.
Okay.
Nitty, what obstacle? Actually, Nitty, I saw that there's a particular agent, I forgot his name, that sent you a number of pre-quals. So maybe share how you were able to meet him, and then you know, what obstacle are you having to meet others?
Okay, so he plays badminton with one of my best friends. So I just called him and I was like, you are playing badminton with my best friend, and she talks so much about you and your selling skills.
That's really how it works. I mean, I hate to say it, and all this prospecting is so important, but really it's just your personal network, and a friend referred a friend is kind of half the time the way it works. But go ahead, Nitty. I'm sorry to interrupt.
That's fine. So he is already working with one of the lenders, and he has been working with her for like last 6 years. He was a little skeptical, but then I told him, like Brian just said, when you work, I work. So I was like, weekends, nights, morning, early mornings, shoot me a text. I may not pick your call, but I will reply to your text immediately. And all your buyers, they would not complain to you that Neeti didn't answer our call or she didn't message us back. So he was like, okay, I'll give you a chance. And I don't know if you remember or not, he said that if this appraisal doesn't come at par with the offer price, I won't do business with you. So, yeah, the appraisal came in, been working with me, but yeah, but it's going slow. He still prefers the other lender because she is able to give some good freebies to the customers, but he is sending the clients to me. And the challenge that I'm having right now is the established realtors. They are just not ready to meet. Like they would say, like I called someone who sent me a card. It was there in my mailbox. I don't know her. I've never met her, but she lives in the same neighborhood. So I called her and I was like, hi, Donna, how are you doing? It's so nice of you to send me a card. And I work as a lender with Van Dyke Mortgage. And she was like, I'm trying to look for a house for myself. I don't even know about my buyers right now, but I don't need to work with any lender. I have my own preferred lender. I'm like, okay, all right. So the response is very cold, who are established. And the new lenders that I'm trying to meet, like I meet one new lender and one established lender every week. That's what I'm trying right now. The new realtor.
You mean agent? You mean?
Agent. I'm sorry. Yeah, agent.
Yeah, okay.
Agent that I met day before yesterday, on Tuesday. She was like, I would love to do business with you. Why don't you send your pre-approved buyers to me? And yeah, so.
So a couple of responses to that. One would be, I'm going to use the old, hey, I know you've got a great relationship with somebody and that's awesome. I really respect that. But if there ever comes a time that you need a second opinion or a backup lender, I want to be your Tom Brady. Right? And they're going to be like, Tom Brady. Yeah, well, Tom Brady became the GOAT because he filled in for Drew Bledsoe, and that's how he got his shot. I'm the next Tom Brady. So
I wish.
So when something falls, when something falls apart, or you need a second opinion or something like that, just let me be your backup, and I'll prove to you why I'm going to be number one going forward.
So Brian, what percentage of good agents have relationships with lenders right now?
Here's the reality. You guys, and you will find this out as you guys are searching through the intelligence piece. Go to a top agent and look at the lenders that they're doing business with. In most cases, none of them are doing the majority of their business with one LO, right? There's probably a myriad, and that tells me they're not loyal to anybody, okay? Here's what I will tell you, the mega agents, the agents that are doing a lot of production, it is a longer sales process. It's going to take you a long time to earn their business, and that's why you have to be persistent and consistent, right? Now, I don't want you to spend, be careful about what I'm about to say, because I don't want you to spend too much time chasing in this vertical either. But a newly licensed agent, if you get their first deal, you'll get deals 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I'm going to tell you why. First of all, a newly licensed agent needs you more than you need them. They have no idea what they're doing, right? And so if the home inspection went off well, if the title closing attorney went off well, if the lending went off well, when they do deal 2, they're gonna be like, I gotta duplicate it exactly how it did the first time, right? So that's why you'll get their second deal. But if you didn't get their first, they don't have the confidence yet to give you a try on the second, unless it didn't go well with the first. That seasoned agent does have the guts to give somebody a try, because even if it doesn't go well, they're going to be able to cover it up, and they're still going to be able to work and get it over the finish line. Does that make any sense? Okay.
Yeah, and also, it's just like interviewing for a job. If you're not confident and you don't have your pitch and your presentation all polished up, then why not practice on some new agents So yeah, they don't have a lot of business, but you know, you can at least work on your personal connection and you know the whole sales process and so forth. You know, you can practice on a new agent, and if you know you screw up or this or that, and I'm not saying screw up their loan, but I'm just saying maybe the relationship, you make a misstep or whatnot. You know, it's better that it's a you know a new agent rather than a seasoned agent that you were really
here's
banking
the other
on.
thing I'll tell you about new agents. Okay, they typically do a deal within the first 90 days of getting licensed, and it's typically a friend or a family member.
Right.
Okay. Also, their first couple of deals are going to be buy sides. And the reason they're going to be buy sides is they're afraid to go on a listing appointment, right? If they had to go on a listing appointment and they knew that another more seasoned agent was also meeting with that seller, they will be terrified. So until they get some experience and some confidence in themselves as an agent, they're not going to be out there trying to take listings, right? So my point is they're going to do a deal fast and it's going to be on the buy side.
Adam, you before we let Brian go, you want to hit him with a zinger?
My challenge is my friends. I have a lot of friends who are really established agents, and getting them to release and actually use me and trust me like they trust me as their friend. That's the difficult piece. Even with the number of deals I did the first year, they're still not at that point where they're comfortable opening that door. So it's really,
Adam,
how do I beat them?
Yeah. So Adam, remind me real quick, how many deals did you do in 21?
25.
Okay. And I'm sure that you got a good number of surveys back.
Oh yeah. Every single one of them gave me a survey back.
Okay, good. So, and I'm assuming they were mostly good surveys.
Yeah, I think it's a 4.95 rating.
That's awesome. So what I would do is I would work with marketing or something to help you put together something along the lines of like some good news, feedback, some customer surveys. Maybe I don't know, you know, we tend to always get surveys back from borrowers, but we don't always get them from the real estate agents, even though we ask. But if you have any of those, I would highlight some of that stuff too. And, you know, hit that stuff out on social media, maybe in your weekly email blast to your agent database, you share some of that stuff. Also, anytime you can share a win, right? We don't brag on ourselves enough. So I'm sure in those 25 deals, there was a deal that was probably difficult to do or something that had a challenge that you were able to overcome. People love to hear success stories. So whether you send it in an email or you boost it on social media, I would share with people, hey, I came across a borrower, they had this problem, I fixed it, today they're homeowners, right? And so whether, again, marketing can work with you to maybe put together some pieces like that you can use on your social media platforms, or to shoot a quick video for social media platforms, or shoot a quick video to get out to your database. But I would tout those things, especially that group of friends. Make sure they're seeing that stuff.
And email marketing is not dead. And, you know, putting out some of the Barry Habib stuff, you know, even though it's over their head, it makes you look smart.
Like
you
an
know,
expert. Yep.
Like, oh, this guy, he's on top of it. So I do trust him. I mean, if he knows what the bond market's doing, he's got to be pretty smart. So,
Yep. And I would tell you one just thing, I'll introduce one thing, Stephen. If you're going to email, I would do video email, right? I mean, here's the reality. Yeah, here's the reality. Video is not the future. Video is the now.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's like I go to, you know, Stephen, we go to a lot of these workshops and conferences, and people are still talking about it being the future. It's not.
No.
Quit saying it. It is the now. If it's not a part of your marketing plan right now, you're getting left behind. Right? So by the way, a quick plug on that. Tuesday's Iron Sharpens Iron call. I'm hosting it, and that's what we're talking about.
I'm writing it down. Okay. Awesome. Is there, I forgot, is there a plugin in top of mind for video, or you just do it completely separate with BombBomb?
There is an API between the two.
Okay. You lost
I have
me at
one-
API. Okay.
I have one other question.
It's the key that makes them talk to each other, Stephen.
Brian, what's the one most valuable tool that you think we need to have in our holster?
Oof. Well, I can only pick one.
Yeah.
Product
That's a
knowledge.
I might disagree a little bit there. Because like you got to have a deal before, like you know what I mean. Like
You
at
gotta
the end of
know
the day,
what
if they,
you gotta know
at
what
the end of
you're
the day,
talking
one of
about.
these folks brings in a deal, you're going to help them figure out the problem.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Right. So I would tend to lead more towards how do I get more deals in. I would say, right now for all of you, it's probably database management and what you're doing with that database because you're new. Shoot, I will use Stephen as an example. The guy's been in the business 30 years. He made a mint the last 2 years on doing nothing but working his database. Right?
So personal network is probably the most valuable.
Yeah. So, I would be focused on how many people am I adding to my database? How am I touching my database? And making sure that you're doing everything that you can to stay visible.
Thank you.
Awesome, Brian. Truly some great nuggets there. I want to be respectful of your time. Anything else before we let Brian get back to running the company?
Well, you're giving me a lot of credit.
Okay. Thank you so much, Brian. We really appreciate
Thank
it.
you all.
Thank you, Brian.
Talk
Thank
to
you
you
all. Y'all
later.
have a great weekend.
You too.
Okay, guys. So we went a little bit longer on that section, so I'm going to try and go super fast. So, okay. So we talked about writing note cards. Oh, by the way, who was in my session about what was it? Self-awareness.
I was there.
Was it good? Did you get anything out of it?
It
It
was
was
good.
awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So so we talked last time. Joyce gave us some tips on writing note cards. Have we been writing note cards?
Starting to. Yes.
Yes.
You have been.
I actually
Okay.
have a funny story
Tell
about
us.
sending a note card. So there is an agent. She actually sold us our home, and she was my parents' agent. So I feel like maybe once my husband got into the business, she was a little like, great, now you've taken business from me. But we're Facebook friends, and we kind of stay up to date on each other's lives. And when I first got licensed and got on with Van Dyke, I messaged her, reached out to her, no response. She completely ghosted me, would not respond to me whatsoever. So I was like, okay. Well, she has a really big infatuation with glitter, and she sends us Christmas cards every year. And all of her cards, she's known for everybody. Her whole database knows her as the person who sends glitter. So when you open up her cards, glitter spills out everywhere, which of course drives my husband crazy because he has words about glitter. But so I sent her a note and I shoved it with glitter, and I told her that she should just want to do business with me. And I put my business card in it, and she thought it was so funny that she's now talking to me and reaching
awesome.
out. So fingers crossed.
That's great. Yeah, you found her hot button.
Yep.
Okay. So on those scorecards, I have to tell you, I'm not happy because I'm telling you from experience, to be successful, you need to hit 60 points a day. Everybody is averaging about 40. So you're doing about 2/3 of the marketing that you need to be doing. I just need more. Nitty, you posted a video. You did one video that I saw, and it was just of you walking. I think you were on vacation.
Right.
And I'm looking, and the feedback and the response is more than any of your other postings. So although with the marketing and so forth, you know, you post some generic thing about mortgages, which is fine to keep in touch, but you can see yourself how powerful that is when you make that. And listen, your video up, you just disappeared. So your video, I mean, just to be honest, was not that great. Was just you walking and talking. There was no like, you know, anything exciting about it. But even that, even just that generic video got terrific response. And I'm a little disappointed because you said in the video you were going to do a follow-up video and then you didn't do it. So, you know, people want to go a little bit deeper. So where were you on vacation? There are the mountains, there are the ocean, and you know, you could go, you know, into you should visit San Diego in the spring, or you know, you can just talk a little bit more and make it a little bit more personal and detailed, and people love it. People love the details. What do you think, Nidhi?
I agree with you. I agree with you. I have to work on these things. I know. And I've been telling you, and yeah, I'll do something.
I mean, the response was great, right? You look
Right.
gorgeous, and the weather's so nice, and you look like you're having fun, and all that stuff. So who doesn't like that?
Right.
So, okay. A good person. Does anybody know who Tim Hart is? Loan officer in, is it Fort Myers, Florida? Does anybody know his stuff or see his stuff? It's just,
I've seen him I recognize his name and stuff from meetings and stuff within the company.
yeah. So, look him up, on Facebook, be friends with him. He does a terrific job with videos, and he's doing a campaign now, which is what we discussed about the mayor of your town, and he's trying to be the quote mayor of Fort Myers. So like, he's doing a video with his car mechanic and with his store owner, and you know, and the thing is that people are kind of funny because they have different personalities and they're not really used to this video making. So it's fun and it's funny, and it makes Tim look just like a really terrific guy because he's promoting these other businesses, and it makes him look like the Fort Myers guy, so that you know, if you're thinking about a mortgage, who are you're gonna call Tim, and if you need new tires, you're gonna call Tim. But it really I think is an excellent campaign. I want you to take a look at his videos. Okay, we talked about elevator pitches last time. Has anybody polished those up? Daphne, give me your polished up. And the thing about an elevator pitch is it doesn't have to be exactly the same for everybody. You may know a little something about the person in the elevator. But go ahead, Daphne, give me an elevator pitch. We're using the formula that I help people do this using this.
I help people, sorry, I had it in my head earlier. I help people achieve their dreams of homeownership by educating them and by I had it in my head earlier. I help people achieve their home ownership dreams by educating them about the home buying process.
Okay. Lauren, throw one at me.
Well, mine started out kind of the same. I have it written down. It says, I help people achieve home ownership by finding the best loan options available for them.
Okay. I mean, that is good and that is true. It's just it's a little bit dry, but it's good. Nidhi, throw something at me.
I help people buy their dream house by walking with them in this whole process.
Okay. It's a little it's a little dry as well, but it's I mean, it's good, it's accurate. So you're all having a little bit of problem with the third part. So kind of think of a tool, not necessarily, you know, kind of think of a tool or mechanism like I help people buy their home, but I help people buy their first home by making the process easy. And then I'm like, that sounds exactly like what I want, easy. So go ahead, Adam. You can steal it if you want to, but give me one.
I hope people purchase their first home through coaching and mentorship. It's pretty dry, but
So so there again, the last one, that sounded like a lot of work. So give me something, because I'm looking to buy a home. I'm not looking to like get into the mortgage business. So
okay, yeah, I hope people achieve purchasing a home through a smooth and easy transaction.
Oh, okay. So I like that. Yeah, smooth and easy. That sounds good. Okay, good. So okay. So on Jordan Harbinger's, we're getting to the very end. He had a section called calendar cleanup. Now the concept here, and this is actually very true, I've heard this by several experts, we kind of become at the same level, we achieve at the same level as the 5 people we spend the most time with. So the idea here is to surround ourselves with people that are successful and that we, admire and so forth. It's not always, you can't always do that 100%. I mean, you have that crazy brother-in-law and you just can't avoid it. But, on the whole, as far as the majority of our time, we want to spend it with those people who we admire. That girl that, is 50 years old that acts like she's still in high school and wants to go out and get drunk. She is fun. But, at the same time, we don't want to be like Susie. We want to be like somebody else. Okay. So any ideas on how to, Daphne, kind of look at who we're spending our time with? And I'm not just saying like, maybe you've had a friend for a long time and you just give them the boot, but just, as far as the amount of time we're allocating people, have you ever thought about that, Daphne?
Yeah, I definitely have. I mean, and those people not necessarily got the boot, but they get less time, less of my personal time for sure. Like they're either bad influences. Like for example, the people that I work with at the restaurant, they're all horrible. They're not all horrible, but like they're just not people that want to succeed in life. So I don't necessarily hang out with them on a regular basis.
Right. They're not bad people, but maybe they don't have any ambition.
Exactly.
Or, they're still living in their mom's basement and they're 32 years old,
No, for real. So
Yeah,
like they're fun to hang out with every once in a while, sprinkle it in if you just want to have like low key fun, but like they're not people that I consider like true friends or people that I like look up to or are influenced by or anything like that.
Nitty, do you ever think about the amount of time that you spend with people and just, whether they're a good influence or not?
Yes, I do. And I talked to this about with my best friend too, that the quality of people that we spend time with is how we will improve in our life. Like, yeah. So we do talk about it.
Good. Lauren, you ever think about that concept?
Oh yeah. I'm a big, like the type of energy that you bring around me really affects me because I'm a definite empath. And, if you don't have good energy or we're not doing positive things or stuff like that, I can't spend that much time with you because it just drains everything from me. But I had a hard time looking at maybe some of my the close people in my circle. So in his video, he said, maybe ask a significant other or somebody who, could maybe look at it a little differently. So per my husband, there's maybe a couple of them that should get the boot. So.
Right. And like I said, these are not bad people, but that person that's just always wants to kind of tell you about their problems and all that. And, friends are there for friends, but the type that are always kind of taking, but not giving emotionally. Adam, you ever think about that?
Oh, absolutely. All of my friends, they're all in those different circles, right? Work, friends, family. And then you have your inner circle, and those are just a really tight group knit of people, that you hang out with, and they know everything that intimate about you. And it's a much smaller group of people. I mean, you can count them on one hand usually. So,
Miles, do you have your audio going?
I do.
Awesome. So Miles is the youngest of the group, let's just put it that way. So he has friends that are just graduating. You got some that are just graduating college and are ambitious and want to make it, and then you got some that are kind of mentally still back in high school that just want to party all the time. Do you think about, Miles, like associating with the ones that have a little bit more mature mindset?
Oh, absolutely. I've been very aware to that for a while. And I've honestly kind of acted accordingly. I listened to Dan Pina a little bit, and he has a quote that's I think it's like, "Show me your friends and I'll show you your future," something like that.
Right.
But you know the concept.
Okay, good.
But yeah, definitely.
So, okay, moving on. Thanks, Miles. So, Nitty, I saw you signed up for that Pelpina's video course. Have you done it yet?
No,
Or
it's
started the course?
22nd February.
Okay, great. I want it when we get there. I want to hear about it. Okay, wrapping up. It is time. Where's the drum roll for 10 questions for absolutely no cash or prizes, but my admiration. So here we go. True or false? Can a person with getting a VA loan actually buy a house with no money at all, no cash at all? Or is that just impossible?
Yes, they can.
Yes, they can.
Yes.
How is that possible, Adam? Because you got funding fee, you got closing costs, you got prepaids, you got, how's that work?
It's 100% financed through the VA. They cover all the costs basically, which is nice.
Well, and you can negotiate for the seller to pay the closing cost and prepaids.
Right, up to, is it 7%?
Yeah, which I mean is basically all of them.
Yeah.
And then you could also possibly get a lender credit. So yeah, so mathematically, a person with VA eligibility could buy a house with $1. Okay. So let me ask you this. We've seen this flyer coming about second homes, and in April, there's going to be price bumps. Would not be surprised if they follow that up with price bumps for investment properties as well. But so what is the minimum down payment for a second home, Lauren?
60%.
What'd you say?
30%.
You have to
No, you said
put 30%. You have to
I
put
said
30% down to buy a
60%.
second home. What? I'm a
10%?
edit that out. I'm telling the producer, edit that out. Go ahead.
Is it 10%?
10%, yes.
Mm.
God. So
I just had a moment.
yes. So the minimum is 10% down to do a second home. But Adam, what's the minimum on an FHA loan if you do a second home?
It's 20, correct?
No.
No.
So FHA only does owner occupied. It was a trick question.
Oh yeah, that is a trick question.
Okay.
Good one.
Sneaky.
Okay. And so you're in Denver. So do you have any high cost areas?
Yeah, everywhere. I think
Okay.
the starting home loan here is close to 550 right now.
It is just, I just learned a couple years ago how expensive Denver is. And I just never thought in my head of, I'm thinking San Francisco, New York. I just never thought Denver was it's crazy. Okay. So for us Georgians, where are the high cost areas in Georgia? Do we have any high cost areas in Georgia? Nitty?
East Cobb, then Alpharetta, then Roswell.
Okay, so those are expensive areas for sure. But as far as Fannie Mae goes, we do not have any high cost areas in Georgia. So basically, when you hear something about high cost, you can tune it out unless you're going to do a loan in Denver. So yeah, so Georgia is all just standard cost. Okay, so who's done or a pre-qual or anything on a home ready or a home possible? Okay, learn to love this program because it's perfect for first-time home buyers. Okay,
I'm
so
doing one right now.
you're what?
I am doing one right now.
Oh, you're
3%
doing
down.
one. Okay,
Yeah.
Adam. So tell us, and you may have to explain this a little bit because you're in a different state. So what is the income limit?
I'd have to look it up. I don't know it
Okay.
off the top of my head. Yeah.
Okay, well, how did you know it? How did you find it?
Basically, I have a database that I keep in my computer of the income limit for each county. And then I also look at the Fannie Mae site for those income limits.
Okay, so the
program.
Fannie Mae has a lookup tool. So if you Google home ready income lookup, there's a little search engine that tells you. Basically, it's 80% of the median income. And that is in Georgia, it's 68,560. Just write that down. So the income limit is 68,560 for home ready or home possible. And that's for all the people that are on the loan. So most likely it's going to have to be a single person. You think about home ready as just a first time home buyer, but it doesn't have to be. And you think about them doing the 3% down, but it doesn't have to be that either. You get better pricing for lower credit scores and lower MI. So if a person makes less than 68,560, I'm automatically thinking home ready. Okay. So at Van Dyke, how long can you lock in somebody's rate without having to do some special deposit or anything? As far as the standard lock-in goes, how long will we do it? Hold on, Adam. We got to give some of these people a chance. Nitty?
Standard is 45, but we can also do it for 90 days.
Correct. So 90 days is the longest lock that we offer without having to call secondary and to get some special lock-in program. There are extended locks, but they're expensive. So really, as far as kind of a standard deal, 90 days is the best. Okay, so Daphne, what is the decimal equivalent of 7/8?
Is it 0.175?
No.
No, it's 0.8.
Lauren, what's the decimal equivalent of 7/8?
Is it 0.875?
Correct.
That was my second answer.
No, no, all your eighths. Okay, 3/8, 5/8, 7/8. You do not have to be a math wizard in this business. Just make your little chart and memorize that. Okay. So you have a borrower and they're in the hospitality business, and the company they work for shut down for a year. They basically did not work for a year. But now they're back, and they just started last month with the company again. Can that person get a mortgage?
Yes.
Okay. So how do they satisfy what the 2-year requirement? 2-year work requirement?
We can get a letter of employment from their current employer saying that it's a long-term duration job, or it's something confirming that they'll be on the job for next couple of years.
So, okay, so this is a question about their work history. Go ahead, Adam.
Would a letter of explanation qualify for that? And then also letters from the past employers?
Correct. So the my understanding, because I just had one, is the 2-year work requirement does not have to be the most recent 24 months. So if they were with this company for 2 years and then took a year off, they come back, then they still have a 2-year work history. It'll be a little bit more research if you have to go back, you know, a year or two or whatever. But if you can show that they have a 2-year history of working, it does not have to be the previous 24 months. Does that make sense?
Does it, but it has to be with the same company
No.
or just in the same line of work?
Right. So it follows the same guidelines, same line of work, you know, but they're pretty generous as far as linking. If you can say, well, it's a different industry, but they use the same skill set, then, you know, if they're a bookkeeper for, you know, somebody in the hospitality industry, and then all of a sudden they're a bookkeeper for a store that sells shoes, we're still going to be okay with that.
Mhm.
Okay. So, Nitty just called me about a borrower a few days ago. So what is the requirement? Let's say we have a borrower and they're new to the country. So what are the things we're looking for so that they can qualify for a mortgage? Go ahead, Nitty, give me a couple.
Okay, so we'll look at their past 2 years of work history. Even if they were out of the country, not in US, and they're an immigrant, we need to get a letter of verification that they were working, and this is how much they were earning, and that has to be in English. I remember that. And well, that's it. I think that's what we talked about, that we need just a letter of verification.
So they need some other things in general. So what else would they need, Lauren?
Like a work visa or something like that?
Yes, they have to prove they're in the country legally.
Mhm.
So what are we going to look for? So, you know, I don't have them memorized. There's a H1, HB1, several different types of work permits. But what are we looking at when we look at that work permit?
When
Just
does
that
it?
the identification matches and
Well, yeah, they didn't give you their
Expiration.
brother's
Is
work
it like
permit yet.
length of how long they're going to be here, or how long
Yes,
they're going to?
yes.
Yeah.
So how long are we looking for?
2
Would it
years
be
or more.
2 years?
What, Adam?
2 years or more.
So I think we're going to be satisfied if it's good for 1 whole year. If they've got 1 more year, we're going to be satisfied with that. If it has less than a year, then they have to prove that they applied for an extension to that work permit. Okay, anything else? So they got a work permit, they got job history. I'm just going to assume that they've got enough income in their job. So what else do we need?
ITIN.
The what?
ITIN number?
Social security number. Is
Yeah.
that, yeah, okay. And what else would they need? Credit score. You wouldn't even be able to run it through DU if they didn't generate a credit score. And that could take, you know, it could take a year, it could take 6 months. I'm not, Nitty, how long does it take between a new person coming into the US before they can generate a credit score?
6 months.
6 months, okay. Good.
And the best way to get your credit is to get a secured credit card. That's what we
Right.
all do.
Right.
Yes.
If you were lucky enough that you had family already over here, if somebody will put you on as an authorized signature, then that like helps you take advantage of their credit history. That's not always available. Okay, so you just got the appraisal in on your purchase deal. Who can you release that appraisal to? Everybody's calling you. Is the appraisal in? Is the appraisal in? You know, so who can you release that appraisal to?
The appraisal amount or the appraisal report?
So let's just say the appraisal report.
I'll just share it with my buyer. Not in me, like it would go through the secure portal, but yes, I can just share it with the buyer.
Right. So we send it to a copy to the buyer. We actually, by law, have to send it to them within 3 days. but we send it right away to the buyer. And then the buyer, but wait a minute. So the listing agent, in fact, the agent that referred you the business is
Right.
calling you and wanting a copy of the appraisal. So what about them?
Nope,
No, we cannot.
but the buyer can.
Yes.
Right. So I typically send it to the buyer. Of course, it's sent through the portal, but you know, maybe they haven't gotten home from work to get. So then I ask them, please send a copy to your agent. And then they do that. Now, what about the listing agent? The listing agent is calling saying, well, what's the value? What happened?
You can only tell them that it appraised or it did not appraise, right?
No,
That
we'll
is
have.
Go ahead.
Won't we send them if we have the appraisal contingency? Like me just telling Lauren that if she's a listing agent that the value came 20,000 below, how would she agree to that?
So I would not tell them that. I would say, if the home came in at value or better, then I would say the appraisal came in fine and leave it at that.
Right.
If it did not, then I would say I just released it to the borrower, so they would have to share it with you. I'm sure if you called the buyer's agent that they would share it with you, and then I just get off the phone. Because yeah, I mean, I don't want to get into an argument about them. I don't want them to, because here's the thing. Let's say that they're negotiating repairing you know, the broken bathtub that cost $800, and they're still negotiating that repair, and then you tell the seller, the listing agent, the home came in 10,000 above the sales price. Well, she's like, well, screw them. They just got 10,000 in equity. We're not paying that $800 repair. So then they'll be mad at you, right, for telling them. And you know, so you're better off just not, and legally not sharing that information and just trying to avoid it without getting into a big discussion.
Sure.
Adam, how tall is Stetson Bennett?
Stetson Bennett. I'm going to take a guess, 6'4".
Oh.
Woo!
How tall is Stetson Bennett?
He's 5'9".
Probably.
5'11".
He's 5'11". That's
Oh.
what he
Stetson
says.
Bennett.
People say that when he did it with cleats on when they did the measurement.
Who is he?
And he's the quarterback for the national champion
For
Georgia Bulldogs.
UGA.
Oh, you just guessed?
Yeah,
Yeah, no, yeah.
I have no idea.
Well,
who
if
he
he
is.
knew who he was, he would not have said 6'4".
Right.
Right. Okay, guys, great meeting, and I'll send you a follow-up, and have a great weekend. And I'm really, I'm not going to be happy if you don't get 300 points on that prospecting sheet next week. So anything that you do on Saturday, count towards Friday. Anything you do on Sunday, throw it into the next Monday. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.